One pill. That's all it takes. Not to get high, but to die. Every day, fentanyl kills more Americans than car crashes, gun violence, and wars combined. But this isn't just a drug problem. It's a global pipeline stretching from hidden labs in China through the hands of violent cartels in Mexico and into the veins of unsuspecting teens across the US. And the scariest part? Most people don't even know how it gets here. Fentanyl isn't grown in the fields. It's not smuggled in bundles under the desert sun. It's cooked in labs. This synthetic opioid is up to 50 times stronger than heroin, and just 2 milligrams, barely enough to fit on the tip of a pencil, can kill you. So how did something so deadly become so common? And more importantly, how did it become almost untraceable until it's too late? In this video, we'll follow fentanyl's journey across continents, from chemical suppliers in China to Mexican cartels to the streets of Philadelphia, San Francisco, and small towns you've never heard of. You'll learn how it's disguised, how it bypasses border security, and how social media is playing a dangerous role in its spread. But we won't stop there. We'll also uncover the devastating consequences, not just for the users, but for families, communities, and even entire states struggling to keep up with the death toll. And by the end, we'll ask a chilling question. Is it already too late to stop it?
Before we dive into today's mystery, here's something important. Over 95% of people who watch our videos aren't subscribed to the channel. If you enjoy this type of content, support this channel by subscribing. It only takes 2 clicks for you, but it means a lot to us. It helps us grow, reach more curious minds, and build a strong community around the questions that matter. So go ahead, hit that button, and let's keep exploring together.
Fentanyl isn't a new drug. It was first synthesized in 1960 by a Belgian chemist named Paul Janssen as a powerful painkiller, mostly used during surgeries and for terminal cancer patients. For decades, fentanyl was tightly controlled, produced legally by pharmaceutical companies in the US and Europe under strict regulations. But everything changed in the 2010s. That's when illicit labs in China began mass producing it, not as a medicine, but as a weaponized product for profit. Unlike heroin or cocaine, fentanyl doesn't require plants or fields. There's no poppy to grow, no coca leaves to harvest. It's made entirely with chemical precursors, synthetic compounds that can be ordered online, shipped in bulk, and mixed together in untraceable laboratories hidden in industrial zones. Many of these labs operate in China's Guangdong and Shanghai provinces, where regulation is either too weak or too corrupt to enforce. Some of these labs are licensed as chemical suppliers. Others are part of massive underground networks that produce not just fentanyl, but also its analogs, chemical variations that are even more potent and often undetectable by standard drug tests. Why China? Because it has one of the largest chemical industries in the world and a legal system that, until recently, didn't classify fentanyl analogs as controlled substances. That loophole allowed manufacturers to tweak the molecular structure just enough to make it technically legal while keeping the lethal punch. And while China has cracked down on some production, the truth is many of these labs simply moved operations to other countries or went deeper underground. Once the chemicals are cooked and packaged in China, the next step begins: smuggling. But not always of the finished drug. Often only the raw materials, known as precursors, are shipped out, hidden inside legal-looking shipments. Industrial solvents, lab equipment, even powdered ceramics. These packages are then sent to Mexico, mostly through ports like Manzanillo on the Pacific coast or via international air freight. Some shipments go directly to cartel-run labs deep in rural Mexico. Others pass through shell companies, middlemen, or corrupt officials. And here's where it gets even more dangerous. The Sinaloa Cartel and Jalisco New Generation Cartel, CJNG, 2 of the most powerful and violent criminal organizations in the world, have turned fentanyl into big business. Why? Because it's cheap to make, easy to smuggle, and incredibly addictive. A single kilogram of fentanyl costs just a few $100s to produce, but once it's cut and sold in pill form, it can bring in millions on the street. These cartels don't just traffic drugs anymore. They operate like corporations, with supply chains, chemical experts, logistics teams, and distribution networks that rival some Fortune 500 companies. In secret labs across Sinaloa, Michoacan, and Guerrero, chemists convert Chinese precursors into finished fentanyl powder or pressed pills, often made to look like prescription drugs like OxyContin, Percocet, or Xanax. The pills are identical in size, shape, even color, but the dosage completely unregulated. One pill might contain a tiny survivable amount, the next might kill you instantly, and from there, the product heads north, smuggled in car tires, in hidden compartments, on foot, through tunnels. The US-Mexico border isn't just a physical line, it's a pressure point in a lethal system, and it's failing. When most people think of drug smuggling, they imagine backpacks in the desert, underground tunnels, or desperate migrants forced into mule work. But with fentanyl, the reality is far more mundane and far more effective. The majority of fentanyl doesn't come through remote wilderness. It comes through legal border crossings, hidden in passenger vehicles, commercial trucks, and even mail packages. According to the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, most seizures occur at official ports of entry, especially along California and Arizona borders. And here's the twist. Most traffickers aren't undocumented immigrants. They're U.S. citizens, paid by cartels to move small amounts of high-purity fentanyl across the border. Amounts so potent that even a sandwich bag full could kill thousands. These couriers are often low-risk individuals, students, single moms, retirees. They blend in, pass security, and disappear into the country. Some hide the drugs in spare tires, gas tanks, or under floor mats. Others tape bags under their clothing or swallow latex-wrapped pellets. The pills are powdered fentanyl, then make their way to distribution hubs across the U.S., especially in Los Angeles, Phoenix, Atlanta, and Chicago. From there, dealers spread the product into every corner of the country, from big cities to small rural towns. And thanks to the dark web and encrypted apps like Signal and Telegram, buying fentanyl today is as easy as ordering takeout. Dealers use emojis, GPS drop points, fake packaging. Teenagers can buy a pill laced with fentanyl without ever leaving their bedroom. And when overdoses happen, the supply chain remains untouched. Because the real danger was never on the street. It was baked into the system. Imagine waking up to find your teenage son unresponsive in bed. No needle, no obvious signs of drug use. Just a blue pill on the nightstand that looked like something from your medicine cabinet. That's the reality for thousands of American families. In 2023 alone, over 112,000 overdose deaths were recorded in the U.S., and nearly 70% of those involve fentanyl. That's more than gun deaths, car crashes, and suicides combined. But fentanyl isn't just killing people. It's destroying families, overwhelming hospitals, and flooding morgues. In cities like San Francisco and Philadelphia, bodies are found slumped over in bus stops, store entrances, and sidewalks. Sometimes with the needle still in the arm, sometimes with just a half pill swallowed. Emergency services are stretched thin. In some areas, Narcan, the overdose reversal drug, is used so frequently that paramedics carry it in bulk like water bottles. But Narcan isn't a miracle. Sometimes it's too late. Sometimes the fentanyl dose is so strong, it takes 4 or 5 hits of Narcan and still fails. And sometimes the person who overdoses didn't even know they were taking fentanyl. That's because many users think they're taking a Xanax, an OxyContin, or even cocaine. But what they actually swallowed was a counterfeit pill laced with a deadly amount of fentanyl, made to look identical to the real thing. One anonymous pill, one bad decision, one irreversible outcome. Parents bury their children. Children grow up without their parents. Entire communities fall into grief, confusion, and anger, asking the same question again and again. How did we let this happen? You'd think that once a drug starts killing over 100,000 people a year, it would trigger an overwhelming government response. But with fentanyl, things are more complicated. For starters, it's incredibly difficult to detect. Unlike traditional drugs that are bulky or smelly, fentanyl is odorless, colorless, and potent in microscopic amounts. It can be shipped in tiny bags, hidden in a box of cereal, or absorbed into fabric, paper, or even children's toys. Border agents and law enforcement are fighting a battle against an invisible enemy, one that requires specialized equipment just to identify. And even when fentanyl is seized, new analogs, slightly altered chemical versions, show up almost immediately. The moment one compound is outlawed, chemists tweak the formula by a single molecule, making it technically legal again. These Frankenstein opioids are often more potent than fentanyl itself, with effects that are less predictable and even harder to reverse. Meanwhile, the legal system lags behind. Prosecutors often struggle to charge traffickers with serious crimes unless the drugs can be linked directly to a death, which isn't always easy. In some cities, police are even told to stand down on possession to avoid overwhelming the courts and jails. And then there's the issue of addiction. Fentanyl isn't just strong, it rewires the brain. Users can go from first pill to full-blown dependency in a matter of days. Withdrawal is intense, painful, and often dangerous. And recovery is brutal. Relapse rates are high, and treatment centers are overloaded. For every trafficker arrested, 10 more appear online. For every overdose reversed, another one happens down the street. And for every warning put out, there's another teenager who thinks, it won't happen to me. Every generation has its crisis. For some, it was alcohol. For others, crack cocaine, meth, or heroin. But fentanyl is different. It's faster, cheaper, deadlier. And unlike the drugs of the past, it doesn't just threaten a certain type of user. It targets everyone: athletes, honor students, working parents, veterans. One pill, one mistake, one tragedy. So the question remains, can we still stop it? Some experts believe that stricter border controls and chemical tracking could slow the flow, but only slightly. Others argue that the real fight is local, in education, prevention, and treatment. Programs that give high schools Narcan, that teach students what fake pills look like, that train parents to recognize signs of use, those might save lives. But as long as there is demand, there will be supply. And the internet has made it easier than ever to connect the two. The harsh truth is this: there may never be a single law, a single arrest, or a single cure that ends the fentanyl crisis. But awareness, that's where it starts. Because once you understand where it comes from, how it moves, and what it does, you can start seeing the warning signs before it's too late, not just for you, but for someone you love. If you made it this far, thank you. We don't make videos like this to shock you. We make them to inform and hopefully to protect. Fentanyl is one of the most dangerous substances on Earth, and it's not going away anytime soon. But the more we understand it, the better chance we have to fight back. If you found this video eye-opening, hit the like button. It helps more people discover this content. And if you're curious about the hidden forces shaping our world, tap that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell, so you never miss a story that just might change the way you see everything.